Good afternoon, my fellow Michiganders. Good afternoon, my fellow Americans. My second live of today. I wanted to get this in, especially with all the footage that is coming in that the Congress has finally released to the public. And we're going to dissect it, okay? Because I think it's very important that we have on this conversation, because what I'm seeing on Twitter right now is there's a bunch of leftists who are kicking and screaming and saying, hey, just because, you know, you're releasing all the footage doesn't, take away what these folks did, with rioting and everything else. And I think we have to dissect how this all plays out. And I'm going to also show some video of a protest in January 20th in 2017. And it looked a whole heck of a lot more violent than the so-called January 6th insurrection, as the leftists constantly will refer it to. And let's play the devil's advocate here. Let's present to the jury evidence. Because if you remember from the very beginning, the first video I want to show is a police officer very upset that they've been set up. And if you remember, there was a request to bring the National Guard in for security, which logically would make sense. If you thought there was going to be a threat or a big protest, that's what I would do, is I would activate the National Guard just to have them there as backup or as a deterrent. Usually when you see the National Guard, things usually don't get out of hand because they will knock the ever-living stuffing out of everyone. They just follow the rules a little bit differently than the police officers, that's for sure. But Nancy Pelosi denied that request. So right there, the narrative starts. So what we are coming to find out is bad actors in the crowd, inciting violence, inciting riots. So here's the question that we must ask, and a lot of people assume that this happened, and it may have, but did the FBI and their bad actors incite the violence and the riots? Because that is huge. Because if they were there in the crowd, pushing the crowd, saying things, inciting things, and getting other people to follow them, then they should be held accountable. Because here's what's happened. They have not released this footage. Now we're starting to understand why. And they only released the footage that supported their narrative, which they went on a witch hunt, and they went around and hunted everyone that was, or basically hunted everyone down that was involved in this thing, and basically said two things. You either are going to rot in prison for many, many years, or you can take a plea right now. Now, the normal average American who has a family, who has a job, who probably doesn't want to spend 20, 30 years in prison, or even 10 years, even 5 years in prison, would say, you know what? I'm just going to take the trespassing charge. Yep, let's do it. I plead guilty. So that's what they did. They went around and they scared these folks, not allowing all of the video evidence to be out. I'm not allowing all the Americans to see all the video evidence. No, there's basically persecuted them right there, probably convinced them to take the plea. One of our own, Ryan Kelly, took the plea in the state of Michigan. And like I said from the very beginning, that's his decision. But I just interviewed former Green Beret, Master Sergeant Jeremy Brown, who decided not to take the plea. And he is in jail right now, in prison. And he refuses, because he believes that he's going to basically open up the can of evidence to allow everyone to know what truly happened in January 6th at the Capitol. And it's going to allow everyone that has been convicted to basically have precedent to let these people off. So he's decided to take a stand, and he said, never, ever plea. Now, I am not saying you should plea or should not. That's up to you and your family. But I can understand why people plea, because when they're threatening you with 10 years in prison, and they're like, hey, you can serve 60 to 90 days. The normal person's like, hey, I have a family, I have kids. I want to get my life back. That's why they're taking pleas. However, not all the evidence was given to everyone. And that's my problem. As Americans, we deserve to know the truth. No matter how horrible that truth is, not a narrative, not a political narrative, a truth. And let's say the truth was given to us. And guess what? All the investigations that happen, and Congress investigates and goes through all the video footage, the thousands and thousands of hours of it, and finds out, hey, look, no, the FBI didn't incite the violence. The people that were there incited the violence. The people there did it on their own accord. Then yeah, okay, hold those folks accountable. And if they plead, they plead. No big deal. However, when you go on a witch hunt, don't release all the evidence, Don't go on the witch hunt for all of the peaceful, mostly peaceful protests during the Floyd garbage throughout the country. Why aren't you hunting all those folks down and prosecuting them to the fullest extent of the law? Because they were burning down businesses. What happens to those Americans' businesses and their livelihood and their American dream being stripped of them? All this stuff. And that's why I think we're all fed up is the corruption. And that's on both sides of the aisle, folks. We're starting to slowly peel back the layers of our own party right now and how corrupt it's a good old boys and good old girls club, not only in the state of Michigan and Lansing, but also in the federal government. And that's what we're sick and tired of. And that's why we need great, ordinary folks to do extraordinary things and run for all levels of office so we can take back this little idea called America. Because what's happening right now is uncalled for. It truly is. Not only with the illegal invasion that's happening down at our southern border with allowing all of these military-age men to infiltrate every level of our country, or not every level, excuse me, every area, which is concerning, which I called out. But we just want the truth. Give us the truth and be transparent. We'll figure it out. Put politics aside. Just give us the truth on both sides of the aisle. Okay, so the first thing we're going to watch is an officer actually say, hey, we're in the crowd and posing as Antifa. So listen to this.
Well, we go undercover as Antifa in the crowd. So can you put that back in?
I want to rewind it to let you hear what he said, okay? Listen to what he just said.
Well, we go undercover as Antifa in the crowd. So can you put that back in?
See, that's a problem.
All right, thank you.
So why are you going undercover as Antifa in the crowd? You just want to piss off a bunch of Trump supporters and incite a fight and then get all that on footage and camera and then release it to the corporate media for them to push a narrative? I don't know. These are questions that we must be answered. Here's a gentleman who is complaining about being set up, a police officer, because Nancy Pelosi denied the National Guard to help him. This is a concerned police officer.
They set us the fuck up. That's what they did. They set us up. They set up 64. Oh,
Absolutely.
And then they asked y'all to come 2 hours later. They set us up.
They needed everybody right away.
Nah, right away. They set us the fuck up. So now we ain't got shit. We ain't got no motherfucking shit. They set us the fuck up. Take this motherfucker. Shit.
They set us the F up. Okay, so obviously he's very upset. So let's watch a combination of other videos that were released in our fearless vice president who doesn't do anything about her responsibilities at the border, just hides in the closet in the basement with her old man grandpa. Happy birthday to our old ass president, by the way, Joe Biden, who is not running. The Democrats are already turning on him, which I called out over a year ago. This is the narrative. The Democrats are slowly going to start seeing the polls and start freaking out. And guess who I think is going to run is Governor Gretchen Whitmer. But we'll break that story when it happens. So let's watch Kamala Harris and the breakdown of the videos right after.
Certain dates echo throughout history, including dates that instantly remind all who have lived through them where they were and what they were doing when our democracy came under assault. Dates that occupy not only a place on our calendars, but a place in our collective memory. December 7th, 1941, September 11th, 2001, and January 6th, 2021.
Why are you letting this happen? Why haven't you called for backup? Where is your backup? This is our damn Capitol building, and y'all are letting it get destroyed on your watch. Fuck all of you. Call for backup. Get some help down here. And if they don't want to get you fucking backup, they obviously don't give a shit about you.
Those cops are fighting for their lives right there. They are really mingling. Unbelievable. And I can see why they didn't release this footage now. You understand why? Because they wanted to push a narrative. The corporate media needed a narrative. I don't see the violence. Not saying there wasn't any, because we saw that footage, but why not release all the footage of that day and allow the American people to have the truth on both sides? On both sides. Because they only released what they wanted their narrative to be. And in my humble opinion, that's entrapment. They really did. They entrapped these folks. We need to investigate if the FBI, if there were bad actors in the crowd that were inciting these things and entrapping these folks. Doesn't give them a get out of jail free card. You still have to make a decision. You know, if somebody tells you to jump off the bridge, you have a choice. So even if there were people there inciting, you still got to be held accountable, because you can't just follow what someone says. You have to use your noggin. So is everyone innocent? No, but there are a lot of people rotting in prison right now who should not be in there, or they should be let out with time served. That's why we have to demand from our congressmen and women an investigation to be transparent. Now, it seems like the new speaker is starting that process of being transparent, which is good, but we need to demand full transparency and an investigation, because look at the two different narratives. This, ladies and gentlemen, was called a peaceful protest back on January 20th, 2017.
You all right, boss?
Police had to push back the protesters so firefighters could get to the flames.
Watch out, watch out. Hey, Kingsley. Kingsley. Come over here. Fuck that.
Small fires had appeared all day. This upped the temperature, which of course was the point.
One demonstrator threw a flashbang grenade back at police. It exploded in an officer's face.
Plenty of tear gas, 6 officers reportedly injured.
They will destroy your limo. You need to leave now. AK-47, put the cops in piggy heaven.
You guys, society, we're here to come together today.
Right in the trash.
Peaceful protests. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. And I want to highlight a little of those videos for all of you so we can start to break up that narrative and have the ammunition to go towards our representatives and demand action. Investigate. Let the people know. Let the people know. Did they incite it? Did the FBI have bad actors in the crowd? Were they inciting things? Full investigation. Be transparent to people. And I strongly would encourage at that time, if that is found to be true, then the folks that are serving in prison all be let out, or at least most of them, obviously on a case-by-case basis, on depending on what they did. But I'm going to, and I'm in the current process right now, because I have hours and hours of footage of an interview with Jeremy Brown, former Green Beret Master Sergeant, that has been rotting in prison, and he has decided not to plea. He is fighting the FBI, and his goal is to expose the FBI. And I literally asked him, "Are you afraid for your life?" And he said, "I signed up for this when I took an oath to defend this Constitution." Fantastic human being. I'm producing that show with our team from AZ Business Solutions. As I'm talking to you right now, there's hours of footage. We have to cut it up. So I'm hoping to release it next week to 2 weeks. And in that, I'm also going to have a call to action for you to all to write him for Christmas. Send him a Christmas card, some love and some support, and also to help him fundraise some money for his lawsuit, for his appeal that they've just put in the paperwork, because this is very important for all the January 6ers who are certainly serving time, because this will set precedents, and the evidence that will be revealed in the appeal will allow a lot of these folks probably to get their appeals through and hopefully released, which is very important. Very, very important. Okay. So look out for that video. I will continue to highlight everything I can for all of you so you can be educated and empowered with what's truly going on and not a narrative. And I think we're just so sick and tired of that hot garbage. My goodness gracious. So sick and tired. Just give us the truth. That's it. We the people deserve it. We the people demand it. And we the people will get it, especially if I have anything to do with it. God bless you. God bless the state of Michigan, of course, and always, God bless these United States.